Hey everyone, we are going to be working on the front deck today, and I feel like we're now in the middle of gardening chaos where I'm trying to get things all outside as quickly as possible, but also film it for you. Although there are some things I did kind of haphazardly last night that I'll show you in just a second. But what we're going to do today is we are going to transplant some of the perennials that are growing in my garden right now in some of my other raised beds, and we're going to move them over to one of the new Epic gardening beds. So I've decided I want this to be my perennial bed. Doesn't mean I won't also add some annuals, but I'm going to shift the perennials that are currently in some of my other beds here. The main reason is that this is the deepest bed. This has the most planting space since I set it at the 15-inch planting depth. And I want to show you guys, I filled this almost all of the way just by emptying out some of the other containers that were on my deck. I did add in 2 fresh bags of potting soil. I'm going to add in compost and top dress this, and then I also added in perlite just to increase the drainage for my beds. These 2 aquapot lights had the most soil in them. These I'm going to move somewhere else, not on this deck, so I had to empty them out so I could carry them. And then I also kind of just emptied out other random pots, whatever was left in that, which is now empty. And I was impressed with how far it got me. I still have the other bed to fill completely, and I have to get potting soil for that. But here is what this bed is looking like right now. Now, Walter's Gardens, who I was lucky enough to visit last summer and might visit them again this summer, they are a grower for proven winners, and they actually have a really great article talking about some of the differences between growing perennials in containers versus growing annuals in containers. One of the differences is that perennials need more space because they are typically going to get larger. They're also growing in there for multiple years, so their root balls are going to be larger, whereas annuals are only in your garden for the garden season, and then you're going to pull them. So I don't need as much planting depth for my annuals as what I need for my perennials. Another difference, which I think I would have thought was the opposite, and we also talked about this in my horticulture class, is that perennials actually need less fertilizer than annuals, because perennials typically only bloom one time throughout the year, whereas annuals are consistently putting out blooms throughout the season. So I just thought that was an interesting fact, but there's a lot more, so I will link that article down below. But now, let me show you where the perennials are that we're going to transplant into this bed. Actually, before we do that, let me show you that I panic planted my gomphrena into this bed last night. So I started my gomphrena 10 weeks early. It was the earliest I ever started it, and they definitely got larger than they ever have before moving them out. But I could tell that they just weren't really happy in the peat pellets anymore. So I just got them out here last night. I didn't do anything special. I just plopped them in here. I don't even really know all of the varieties that I put in here, but there's at least 6 different ones. And I think this is the raspberry cream. One of them actually has a flower on it, which is exciting, but I promise you didn't miss anything there. Now, the perennials that we are going to move, there's some in the center bed and there are some in the bed back there. This center bed is where my zinnias, well, one of the beds that's going to have zinnias in it. I'm going to put all of my Queenie Lime series zinnias in here. Now, in the winter, I get bored and I make decisions without really thinking of the longer term consequences. And I just threw a bunch of peony seeds in here. And I don't want to pull these before they bloom. And I think the flowers are actually black, which I love black flowers because you don't really see that much. So I need to leave these in here at least till they bloom, but then I'm going to pull them. There's also some weeds in here, but last fall I planted black-eyed Susan and echinacea. I don't think I had anything else. Different varieties, obviously, but I think those were the 2 perennials that I had in here. And I wanted to make sure they survived the winter before planting them up. So this I'm going to transplant, this one here. Let's see if there's, I thought there was at least, oh, and one in there. So I think there's 4 of those that came back. So I will move those over. And then back here is what was originally going to be my native plant bed. So I sowed some native seeds that I got from Prairie Moon Nursery. I also have some oxalis growing out between the crack in the wood, which I think is really cool, and I'm gonna leave it there and see what happens. But I think I might have thrown seeds in here too over winter. I don't really remember. I put some bulbs in here. My problem is, even though I say I'm going to stick to a plan and give things space, when I have plants and I'm running out of room, I just throw them wherever. So, I'm pretty sure this is the rose milkweed. I can't remember off the top of my head what else I planted in here. But as far as what I think are the native perennials, is this, that in the corner back there, this maybe, or that might be an old bulb coming back, and then these over here. There's a lot of maple seeds trying to form trees in my raised beds. I think these might be one of them. Either way, we're going to dig those up and transplant at least the ones that I know are the native perennials over to that bed. First, though, I need to grab the bag of compost and add that to the top of this bed, and then I'm also going to top dress my gomphrena bed with that compost because I didn't have time to do that. In fact, did I sprinkle in? I don't think I sprinkled in the granular fertilizer, so I'll do that as well. Compost bag is there. I got a bunch of annuals from Proven Winners. It feels like chaos in here right now, but it's good gardening chaos. But this is the bag that I need to get outside. Now I'm going to head over to, again, what was the natives bed. And I should be able to just use my hands to dig these up. Trying to go as far down and get as many roots as possible. Let's see what else I want to grab here. I think you, maybe? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm still not exactly sure what this is, but we're gonna plant it up anyway for now. I think I'm actually going to leave some of these smaller ones, although I need to thin this one anyway, because I think that's just going to be too hard to transplant when it's that small and already buried. So that might be, pull some of the maple seedlings out, that might be everything for now, and then I can always move things, again, as they get larger. Each year I can move things around, but at least I got those over there. Now to this center bed here, again, hopefully, okay, your weed, hopefully I can get these out with just my hands. I think I can. We'll see if I need to grab a shovel. Nope, you're good. You are coming with me. This is one of the rudbeckias. Then I'm pretty sure you were an echinacea, but I don't remember which one. But there is a bud on this one starting to form, so hopefully we'll see a flower soon. This one here is the other rudbeckia. Trying to get this out. This one here is the other rudbeckia. Also seems like it has a larger root ball. And when you're transplanting, you want to get as much of that out as possible. All right, I think I got all of the perennials out of here, and I'm just gonna let this do what it's gonna do for now. I don't know, this is why it's hard, because I want to get my zinnias out here. Like, I could plant my zinnias out here now, but all this stuff is in the way, and I don't want to plant my zinnias and then pull these and disturb the roots. So, I don't know. Stay tuned for the video where I decide what I'm doing with this, but let's go over here where I've put the perennials. So, I kind of tried to put them where they were in their original spot. So again, I'm pretty sure that's the rose milkweed. That is Rudbeckia in the back corners, and Echinacea, don't know the varieties. These, I can't remember what they were, but they were near the front, and then I think that's also one of them, but I have to go back and watch that video to see which seeds I started, and since I've never grown them before, I'm not as great at recognizing them off the top of my head, so we're gonna see how this bed turns out. I still think I'll put in some annuals in between, like smaller ones, just to add some more color throughout the season, but I am excited if I can make this work to have a bed of natives, obviously, for the pollinators, and then perennials where they'll kind of just be there year after year and I don't have to worry about it. But also in your garden, especially if you're in a smaller space, don't feel like you have to be tied to anything. I know for me, it was hard when I started to ever pull a plant or remove a plant, even if I didn't love it, but I don't have enough space to have things in my garden that I don't love. So if I decide that I don't really like having, I don't know, the echinacea in here anymore, I'm fine pulling them and replacing them with something else. So we'll kind of see how this goes and evolves, and then I will update you on the progress. Oh, before I forget, let's also add the fertilizer and the compost to the Gomphrena bed. So I don't know where the Proven Winners slow release for flowers is, because again, that's the state of everything right now, but I do have some all-purpose Miracle-Gro slow release that was on sale at Costco. Costco is a place that has way more than I ever expected in terms of like gardening stuff. They have like dahlia tubers, which I wouldn't have expected, so I don't know, we do get some stuff from there. And then just raking in with my fingers, pulling up some weeds, and then I will just add in the compost. I don't know why I constantly choose to garden in white tops or white clothing or light colored clothing, and yet here we are. So for me, because I can kind of pop in and out of the garden throughout the day, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going out to the garden, let me put on my garden clothes. It's just like I'm running outside and doing things and whatever I happen to be wearing that day. So the sun is coming out, it's getting warmer, and I think that is my time to stop planting for now. So I am interested to see how this bed of perennials does. If I like it, if I don't like it. Again, if I don't like it, I can always switch it up. But I am excited to see how it does, especially with the native seeds that I got. So I'll keep you updated on how this goes. We're just gonna keep planting for now. I actually saw some aphids recently, and I was like, you know what, it's not time for me to mentally prepare for pests. Give me at least a few more weeks before I have to start dealing with that in the garden. So yeah, it's really happening. We're in the season now. I'm so excited. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.